Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a SpellForce free show match here between our humans, Levatus, who's playing in the pink color, and on the other side, in the orange, this is DonHyperion, playing as the Elves. A little bit unusual to see DonHyperion playing the Elves, but he's gotten really good at it over the years, so that's gonna be very exciting. The heroes are gonna be the Wolfguard commander here for Levatus, and for DonHyperion we've got the ranger. We've got a bunch of leftover viewers from Tempest Rising, so the commentary will be new player friendly. These guys are doing a best of 5, and the map is hard rock. It starts with these very interesting wood piles. You don't have to cut down the trees basically on this map. The humans are going to be gathering food, wood, and stone in the beginning, whereas the the elves are going to be very focused on wood themselves. We've got a hunting cabin and 2 woodcutters, with the 3rd woodcutter being late for DonHyperion. I might not make that at all. SpellForce 3 is very focused on this hero gameplay, right? You level up your hero, you get items for them, you get new skill points and distribute them in the skill tree. So this hero will be controlling the game very much. But you can have a 200 population army as you expand, as you build billets for the humans. The elves don't have to do that, they just expand more to get more sectors. And you have to kill these creeps that are roaming around the map. They're gonna give you a lot of experience, unlike killing enemy units. Enemy units still grant you XP, the hero grants you more, but it's really the creeps where it's at. So players are really encouraged to fight over these. The creeps will be also dropping gold, which then the heroes can spend in the shops in the main base, and that's we're gonna see that in an aggressive manner. This Wolfguard commander's getting pelted by the lower sanctum already, but trying to get into the woodcutters, and they're getting cut down right now. But DonHyperion is making the 3rd one with that delay. I think that was so that he can get the easy upgrades up front and get the Shrines of Growth working on these creeps while he deals with the hero's threat. Are we going to see some upgrades on these lumberjacks? Because you can't control your workers directly in SpellForce 3. You can't just move them around. But you can recall them to buildings. So that should be making them saves. Wolfguard Commander will be running very low on potions. I think Levatus has to leave. So one of the strats that he can follow now is to just take out these undead on his way out. But I think he would take too much damage from the ranger, who's got several abilities to do single target damage. And also some AoE. Together they're taking out the zombies in one fell swoop, of course. I think the Wolfguard Commander has to leave. She has 526 HP, it's just not enough. Has to get some creeping done, and this middle sector is a good opportunity to do that. The scouts are currently fighting. The Pathfinder has a little bit better chances here with the slightly higher attacks and the advantage in strike armor, but actually the Wolfguard Commander teleports in and finishes it off. Very nicely done. We also got a scout on the high ground here for Levatus that's unlocking the telescope and getting the entire rail track lit up. That's something you don't see very often, but it's a nice little viewpoint to see whether an army is crossing through the middle. So hopefully he doesn't grab that scout later. The wolf is trying to work on the outpost, but it's gonna come up. SpellForce 3 has this sector system where your resources and base building is essentially constrained to the different sectors. Your workers can't go out of it, and the central sector, based on how upgraded it is, will be providing a certain number of workers that you can then distribute into buildings. The elf buildings house 4 people each, whereas that's true for the humans as well. But other factions, there are 6 factions. Everyone does it basically a little different. So dwarves have like 3 people in them, dark elves 2 to 3, trolls have 1. But those are like super workers. Of course, let's not forget the orcs, who have 2 per building. So they have to build a lot more, but the buildings are kind of crappy. So yeah, 6 factions, highly asymmetric ones. Even the heroes are completely different. Taking a look at the skill trees real quick for Levatus as they peacefully capture these rear sectors. We've got 1 point in brute force for power multiplication. We've got fatal blow here, which is an interrupt and single target damage. We've got whirlwind, which you've seen earlier in the worker line. We got shadow strike, which is a teleport and single target damage, and you can upgrade that to have a slowing component and impair. We've got 1 point in deep waters. No 3rd level unlocked yet, which is very annoying for Levatus, but there are some creeps here that he's about to go after. Then later on, for the capstone, once you reach level 5, you can unlock Earth Shatter, which is a big slam on the ground that knocks enemies down and stuns them. On the right side, you've got a bunch of auras that increase armor, attack, and retaliation. And then you can get the Beacon of Immortality cast once you have all these auras. And depending on which one is active, your army nearby will be doing a siege or pure damage type. Pure can't be resisted. Siege is very good against buildings, but not good against units. As for the ranger, we're also cleaning up here, by the way, with the help of a bunch of guardians, who you can turn into ranged boys. The hero here is using Hail of Arrows. That's an AoE multi-arrow attack. We've got Bullseye, which knocks people back and applies impairment to them, which you can then later upgrade to have a silence component. Stops people from casting skills. We got 2 points here in the brute force. You've seen the wolf that she summons earlier. 2 points in deep waters. And you can upgrade the wolf to either explode and weaken. Oh, it's doing that. That's cool. And later apply Moonveil to it, which is a massive resistance and attack and cleaving buff for your summon. You can also upgrade your summon to be a bear. Other than that, you can upgrade the range of the ranger and the actual stats of your summon, including a regeneration for it as long as it's nearby. Then there's of course passive health and cooldown reduction that both heroes have access to as part of the common skills, but that comes into play later. Okay, the humans have a bunch of barracks where they can train infantrymen and arbalists. They don't have guardians like the elves, so completely different there, but the infantrymen sort of fulfill the role of the melee guardian. The arbalists are like a better version of the guardian in ranged mode. Basically, the humans just end up more specialized here than the elves. But you'll see mostly guardians from the elves. Humans are not tier 2 yet, but the elves are. This is now a sanctum, not a lower sanctum. Therefore, they're gonna try working on iron. That's a tier 2 resource you can only gather once you are in tier 2. There's also tier 3 resource, which is different between the two players. The humans gather Aria, which is the this bath water over here. And then DonHyperion, the elves, they would gather the leaves, which are connected to Aria. But it's different resources and they can't be shared. So let's say the humans gobble up all the Aria and don't get anything done. Later, the elves come in and knock down the base. They can take the Lenya. It's of no use to the humans. Well, this is a lot of humans here for Levatus. 67 population to 30. I think that tells a story. What's very important for DonHyperion to do is to hide behind this base. Summoning the wolf, getting a bunch of explosions with that sacrifice would be great. There's a potion on the ground as well that he should make use of. More iron mines are trying to come up. Hopefully his workers can tank a little bit of the damage and focus the attention of Levatus a little bit. But he's level 5. He's got an aura enabled for extra resistances. And knockdowns are absolutely going to be a thing. There's the Martyrio sacrifice after the weakening has been cast as well. And that finished off the infantrymen. If that had been cast in more of a clump of units, that could have been very, very dangerous. Yeah, for now, the iron mining is being shut down. The elves just aren't allowed to gather any iron. The hero might be in danger, but DonHyperion still has some potions. And like I said, there's another one over there behind the building. Arbalists are gonna just beat down the Guardians, especially with that level 2 spin to win that the Wolfguard commander has. Oh, the Arbalists are going down. There's another Earth Shatter. Buying some time for these guys to deny all this gathering. I'm not sure why the Arbalists aren't shooting. They're on defensive mode. They should be shooting. Hopefully Levatus can fix that. Otherwise, DonHyperion will be growing and growing behind this. It's not like Levatus isn't growing though. He's got quite a bunch of frontier outposts by now. He's got even some fortified outposts, but the denial of iron is going super well for him. Which means DonHyperion basically has to rely on this back base. This is the other place he's got some iron. And here, but he's neither... In neither place is he actually getting iron. So that could be a huge issue. It might be worth thinking about recycling these iron mines, actually. Hail of Arrows doing some decent damage to the infantrymen. Got our first Wanderer out, our tier 2 unit for the Elves. She can shoot through several targets with the line AoE attack. DonHyperion discovers the pot. And Levatus is kind of running through this base a little bit. It's got like a significant DPS here. Iron Mine is coming up north. There's 2 of them as well. And also very importantly, DonHyperion actually has this north base where there's more Lenya. It's not as much as what you have in the middle, but it's something. And very importantly, it's got a Godstone to it. Wolf is here, and we've got the detonation on the infantrymen. Ranger is running away quickly enough as well to escape from the Arbalist, but still surrounded by the infantrymen. It's too much. His base has been taken down. I think he may have wanted to just let this base fall, to be honest, but the humans now taking this over will be gaining such a large burst of wood when they build this up, because the buildings, when they get destroyed, they leave behind some of the resources. So this might have been just a very quick first game here between these two. It might just be GG. Considering that DonHyperion is on 6 population against 119, he has not been able to get out any of his tier 2 stuff. If he had done this earlier by recycling some of this stuff, maybe he would have been fine. But now the humans are going to have 4 iron sectors, plus this, plus that, plus this, against just 2. That is a ridiculous amount of iron that the humans just controlled. And Levatus did great in this game as well. Very even on the units killed, but Levatus just printed more units himself because of the difference of going tier 2 versus not going tier 2. It's actually pretty expensive to do this. Welcome to game number 2 in this series. We've got a bit of a swapperoo, as both of these guys went for the random faction, and this is what they got. DonHyperion in the orange still. He's gonna be playing as the Dark Elves. On the other side, we've got Levatus, still pink, but this time Orcs. So we're definitely getting a little bit of variety, showing off all of SpellForce 3's factions if they continue this, if the random gods so please. For the heroes, we've got the Occultist. That's the tanky warrior kind of. Well, he's an Occultist. It says in the name for the Orcs. He casts these demonic circles, and within it, he gains a significant amount of damage. But if he walks out of it or gets knocked out of it, he takes significant damage. The Dark Elf Spectre is a cross. That's the fastest scout in the game, and she'll be able to slow down this Occultist. The Occultist has very little tools to actually catch her, unless you specifically go for that single target damage skill, which is exactly what Levatus is doing. He's got himself Lacerate. Man, the Spectre can deal significant tilt damage if allowed. It marks the hero or target slows the target down significantly, and you can just keep doing it over and over. A melee hero has little tools to deal with it, but going Nullify, which is a pull, and then using Lacerate to single target damage will counter that. Very nicely done. We've also picked up Death Resilience to give him some more resistances when he's low on health. And you've seen Demonic Pact, he's casting that right now. We've got a little bit of power. This hero doesn't use focus, right? So he's using health to cast his abilities. That's the special bit. Orcs also require a lot of different sectors so that they can get population from them. The scouting posts are absolute rubbish. They only come with 3 workers, but the buildings come with 2. So you kind of have to make 1.5 buildings to make use of that. No, the better way to do it is to upgrade these buildings to a fortified outpost, and that way, sorry, a frontier post. That's what the second level is called. You upgrade to a frontier post, and then you can have 3 buildings with 6 workers. It's perfect. For the Dark Elves, we've got the Guardian of Nor. Okay, so he's special because he's got a shield. The other heroes in the game in multiplayer don't have a shield. That shield can block. It's a pretty big deal. 10% to begin with, but the upgraded ones do more and more. He's also got a one-handed sword, which is not that great, but later on he can buff himself for damage. He's got the teleport, which you've just seen, so it helps him get around the map. And on Ancient City, you can actually jump over these walls connecting the bases. He's going right into the Orc main, maybe, if I'm understanding this strat correctly. I think he wants it, but he might need a better spot for that. It's not the easiest to jump in there. He's also got himself Soul Explosion, which is gonna proliferate damage to several targets and enfeeble them, nerfing their attacks. We've got Debilitating Blow, which is a single target high damage interrupt ability, similar to the Lacerate of the other hero. We've got 2 points in Brute Force and Deep Waters for damage and mana. The Dark Elves are much like the regular Elves in terms of economy, focusing a lot on wood. So you're gonna see free woodcutters, and we've got a stone, which is very interesting here from DonHyperion. It implies that he wants to go for a fast tier 2. None of the buildings cost stone until you get like the upgrade buildings and the tier 2 Spire of Souls. You might notice Dark Elves have Echo here as the resource. It looks like a soul. It is a soul. They collect the souls of the fallen, and they can already collect that tier 3 resource in tier 2. So the Dark Elves are really good like that. For that, we also are seeing a little bit of guard totem aggression, but both players are buying the guard totems, and it should be fairly easy for the hero to knock it back down. So that's a lot of gold spent by DonHyperion here on not too much progress. He's killing some workers, yeah, but you know, you ideally would want more from this. The Occultist has now 2 levels of Death Resilience as well, so significantly increases his armor there. Another guard totem gets knocked down. The Guardian of Nor does have his tier 2 armor as far as I can tell. That's right. And he's having to chug potions like a Giga Chad. The Occultist just has this single Claymore sword. He can deal significant damage, especially once buffed. Buying a lot of potions, selling the focus potions would be a thing for the Occultist. You always start with some focus potions and health potions, of course, to keep the hero gameplay going. We got the first Tarantula harassment going as well. A bunch of Scoundrel are joining. It's not just Orcs, it's also the Goblins and whatever beasts they have tamed. They even have Trolls in the faction, but they're kind of enslaved, so not so nice, these Orcs. Alright, we've got a Medusa camp here on Ancient City. There's no big creep camp, but there are Medusa. They're like the medium camp for this map, and there's 2 of them. The Orcs have already worked on this. 2 Medusa are missing, and now we're gonna get a bit of a fight over this location. I think the Dark Elves will be able to upgrade the Dark Ensign without any issues, so that should belong to them there. But when you do get the Occultist in with his big strong attacks, he is actually able to knock it down just in time. That was just a bunch of seconds out. Could have gone very, very differently. For now, The spiders are doing a good job against the scoundrel, and several of them have fallen, but the spiders as well are going down. The Medusa are dealing significant damage during all this, forcing both players to take potions. All these supporting units are dead. More spiders are crawling through. And the occultist is once again forced to use his demonic pact. That will cost him a lot of health over time here. But he might be able to win the location. He's also got the blood leeching abilities, hopefully. No, he doesn't. He has to leave. He didn't actually spec into blood sacrifice and blood confluence, which is applying a bleeding condition to enemies and then being able to leech life off of those bleeding enemies. That's what makes him a giga tank. If he's surrounded by like spiders, you get him back to full health from nothing. Basically an immortal hero with proper micro until the late game, when the Dark Elves actually can snipe him. Yeah, you apply enough armor weakening effects and you should be good to go. Anyways, some XP was stolen there by Levatus, I think. Maybe. DonHyperion is already on level 4.5. What the heck? I don't know how he did that, but that's cool. Once he's level 5, didn't speak about his abilities too much. But he's got the Mark of Corruption, which is when, depending on the different conditions that this hero can apply, that's silence, weakening, and enfeebled. This ability will do more and more damage with that, and it will proliferate the effect for a longer duration. It's a pretty significant weakening, especially. Then we've got Soul Shield, which comes with the sacrifice skills on the right side. We've got Plague Field, which causes weakening, reducing enemy armor. You have to sacrifice one of your units, though, and it's just a small area. Then we've got Soul Catharsis, which is a healing, and you can upgrade that to be an immune to afflictions as well. So you can remove bleeding from your guys and be immune to bleeding for a short duration. Then you got Soul Charge, which is usually a late game skill, which gives your units more speed and damage on level 2. Then Soul Shield is another sacrifice that gives your hero a ton of resistances, attack speed, and damage for your weapon. I did say earlier that his weapon kinda is crappy, right? Well, that skill makes it not crappy. Frontier Post is up, and the Iron Mines are up. But at the same time, the Gobos are kind of working on the Iron Miners here. Lots of Gobos. The Orcs are a little bit better at printing than the Dark Elves are, in general. That's something to be mindful of. Although they don't have more bases, their stuff is kind of cheap and their hunters are better. So it basically allows the Orcs to pump out these goblins. It allows them to focus a little bit harder on iron mining and therefore get more tier 2 units out. That's a lot of Gobos. 84 population at the moment for Levatus, though. 44 for DonHyperion. As I said, it's easier to pump for the Orcs. They're also tier 2, by the way, behind this. You can see the home base is like a bigger icon than it was. But the spiders are kind of enough to scare away the scoundrel. As they're running, of course, as they're out of combat, they'll be regenerating pretty quickly. If they can hit another base, that's a pretty big deal as well. The iron bases have been upgraded by Levatus as a priority. And he's supposedly going to be unlocking some of the more advanced units. I just can't find his research building for it. War Pit is somewhere. In the corner. Interesting placement. But it's a good use of the scouting post. Let's see if DonHyperion can make it to level 5 somehow. It doesn't seem easy to do that. And you definitely don't want to fight the occultists with spiders, because they just don't do much damage at 25. It's magic damage, so that's good against Gobos, but the spiders are not resisting strike damage, which the Gobos do. So they're pretty equal in that situation. It's nice for the spiders to have some extra health though compared to the Gobos. They don't resist magic themselves. So that can help with an extra hit. The Hall of Pain coming up front. The Dark Elf barracks. They usually put them in the main, but not this time. There's one here. And here. Levatus kind of wants a third one now. Or DonHyperion, sorry. Getting a decent surround on this fortified outpost with the spiders blocks essentially the scoundrel from doing it themselves to attack the building. This is a pretty good fight so far for DonHyperion, but now that the hunters are coming in, they have very high single target pierce damage and they apply some bleeding as well. So that Guardian of North would be in trouble if he can't control those numbers. And it's just spiders so far. We've got a sleeper who will be able to resist this pierce damage. The hunters themselves don't have much resistances, but they have the numbers, right? If there's 4 hunters for every sleeper, then the sleepers are not gonna have a good time. They're very, very similar in terms of stats other than the resist. But you can upgrade the sleepers to have whirling blades, which visually they do. But the idea is they'll be able to target 3 targets at the same time, cleaving their damage. And they also cause bleeding themselves. It's a longer bleeding, but a weaker one. But they target 3 people, so, you know, give and take, give and take. Border fortresses are getting unlocked. That's also something that Dark Elves can do in Tier 2 already, whereas Orcs can't, the others can't. It's a Dark Elf specialty. So yeah, gathering the souls of the dead as a Tier 3 resource for the more advanced units that are coming later. It's gonna be neat. Guardian of Nor is getting very, very low here. I think he's going down, guys. He's all potioned up, but he can't regenerate while he's bleeding. We got the first Harvester. It's connected to a Spire of Souls somewhere here. Not sure where. Not in the main. Probably in his front base? No. Where is it? Where is the Spire of Souls? I gotta show that. So we gotta find it. Seriously, where did he put it? Bro. Where did you put your Spire of Souls? I'm so confused. Anyway, this Harvester is connected to it. If we select DonHyperion's point of view, it connects, no? Never mind. Oh, I can do this. Find with hotkey, of course. Alright, the Spire of Souls, this is where the souls go. The Harvester collects them in the field. And that building grinds it down. It's a nice little light show. Especially when there's a lot of souls around. And there's multiple Harvesters as well. Alright, Hero is not gonna make it here. That's gonna give the Occultist level 5. You probably don't want to fight this because he'll just go back to full health. There's plenty of sleepers. The Whirling Blades is being researched, but there's not enough Echo. There's certainly not enough Iron. That's what DonHyperion really needs to hold on against this. Otherwise, I don't like his chances. Levatus has a lot. He's got a lot of hunters. 18 hunters. Oh my god. Even if all 10 sleepers are upgraded, this is a tough one, and that's a hell of a timing attack to hit. The hero isn't even in. And DonHyperion is just forced to take a fight that he doesn't want. So running away from this is now a pretty big deal. Levatus, of course, has the Blood-like Tar aura, which applies bleeding to all the enemies nearby. He's got Sanguine Burst, which explodes bleeding targets for massive, massive damage. The Guardian of Nor goes down again after getting pulled in. The Hunters just basically two-shotted him. That was brutal. Finished off by the Occultist. I'm not sure the man can hold on here. Levatus might be just a little bit too powerful. And with that high number of Hunters, all the sleepers will be going down. The buildings can somewhat resist these thrown weapons, but I mean, they have 66% resistance against thrown ranged attacks, but if there's this many, and they're packed with brutes as well, the brutes have siege damage. They're just a very, very powerful orc. to take down buildings with. I don't think there's going to be any problem tearing down the border fortress here. And although we might see a bit of a light show here from DonHyperion, I think he's going to give up. No light show with the Harvester, I'm afraid. Levatus takes it. He's too strong. Who can stop him? Who can stop this man? They were very head-to-head all the way until that hero kept dying. Ladies and gentlemen, we are now in game number 3 and DonHyperion is going for his main faction, the Dwarves. This is also his last life. But at least the cycle is complete. We've seen all the factions in play now. This is gonna be great. Well, there's the other faction that we need to see. We've got the Trolls for Levatus. This is gonna be awesome. Okay, we've got the High Hierophant as the hero for DonHyperion's Dwarves. He's lured in the undead and he's finishing them off super quickly with the fire totem tanking everything. She's wielding a crossbow and she has an ability to make them shoot 2 bolts, the scattershot ammunition skill. There's a kill shot, that's for single target damage. And of course, Totem of Flames, you've just seen that. Later on, we can spec into a Totem of Silence, which enfeebles and weakens enemies. That's lower attacks, lower armor. Got the Healing Totem as well if you want it. And can upgrade the totems that... they will basically apply ailments to enemies nearby as they get destroyed. And the more you do, the more they do. We also have the Bonebreaker skill on the left side, which is all about applying a knockdown and stuns for 1 second. We've got the Barrage, which is a 5x shot. Very, very powerful. And we've got the Totem Infusion, of course, in the bottom here for level 5 skills, which is making your totems better if you're nearby. I'm not sure exactly what the effect is, but it makes them better. For Levatus, we've got the Plague Bringer. This is the abuse hero, as we know it in the community. Trolls are very interesting. I'll go through them in a moment, but let's start with the skills. So he applies Plague Disease, which is just damage over time and resistance reductions. On level 2, it gets bigger and better. He's also got the Feast on Disease, which is a life leech to enemies that have that disease. He's got Infect Building, which he's probably not going to pick. That's some siege damage per second and production speed reduction. We've got Spread Disease, which makes disease spread further. Also very rarely used. And the capstone in the bottom here is Plague Orb, which basically sends out some magical projectiles that then hurt enemies a lot when they're plagued. If not, it does pretty small amounts of damage. Then with Plague Bolt, you can apply Plague as well, but it's also good single target damage. Then you got Corpse Explosion, which is insane. Corpse Harvest, excuse me. So basically, it targets corpses, and it makes them explode. And it has a very short cooldown of only 10 seconds, so basically people use it as a second ultimate. In this tree, you can also summon an infected corpse troll, which people don't really do too much. It applies disease to nearby enemies. You got Life from Death as well, where you can basically give your guys a shield around corpses, but people just do Corpse Explosion. The trolls are already quite tanky. You've got Cannibalistic Aura. When you're close to corpses, you get some Empower and armor increase and regeneration. And you've got Tiring Attack, a very fun passive that makes this guy apply weakening with his regular attacks. Definitely worth picking up, but he didn't. So he finished his Medusa very quickly. He's not bothering with the back sectors. And the next thing to do is going after this Adamantium Golem, which is exactly what we should be seeing. That's a big creep. It's not easy to fight off, but the trolls have these relatively powerful units, the Smashers early on. That's the only unit they can really make. There's birds as well that you could make, but the basic birds, they can't attack ground targets, so it doesn't come into play as easily. Then you get upgrading buildings for the trolls, where you can send these smashers to turn into better or different units at the very least. You can upgrade them into throwers, which are basically the smaller variant of the smasher, but with the sling. And you can upgrade them into skull crushers, which is just a bigger, better version of them, which cleaves onto 2 targets. You can upgrade them into wall breakers, which are a siege weapon. But the reason we went to the shop now is the Plaguebringer actually got a weakening orb, which is going to reduce the resistances of this adamantium golem by 30%. He's got a second one as well, so that should be enough to pretty much take this guy down. Meanwhile, DonHyperion, with just a handful of axe wielders, basic infantry boys, will be fighting this Medusa off. The dwarves work a lot like the humans, to be honest, but they are more centered around stonecutters, so they build everything out of stone. So you have to prioritize the sectors that have stone in it, and then you're good to go. Well, that's a very quick level 6 there for the Plaguebringer. Big problem, I would say. It's a level 6 Plaguebringer against a level 4 Hierophant with 0 unit support, essentially. DonHyperion is in a lot of trouble. He would have needed to ignore his Medusa in order to take this down. This is something that Levatus did to me recently, and I was crying on the stream. Just, you know, there was no one to wipe my tears away. Not even a shoulder to cry on. Well, DonHyperion is realizing the problem. He's facing a Plaguebringer that's got 1,000,000 gold. He actually must have sold the item that got picked up. What happened there? Whatever item he got from the golem, he sold it. He's not wearing anything. Why does he have 2 armors? He's got a shielding amulet from the shop. He must have gotten like the health and mana amulet. But now here he is with level 6, just bullying the Hierophant. This is just a better hero now, both in terms of resistances because of the tier 3 armor, but also because of the abilities. What he picked for abilities is in fact Plague Disease level 2. He's maxed out Brute Force, so he has got 60% more of that. Of course, Plague Disease level 2 will make Plague Orb highly effective, especially to targets that have basic Plague and level 2 Plague. I'm really curious what happened with the shopping run there. So strange. You would at least sell your second armor. Alright, DonHyperion's going tier 2, trying to unlock some better units. He's got a bunch of sentries now. At least they have really good health, so they might be able to resist the Plaguebringer Vombo combo. And in tier 2, you can get these crossbow boys to deploy. They're becoming little siege tanks then. Oh, there's the Plague Orb. It's only two little tentacles reaching out. But unfortunately for the axe wielders, the Plague will finish them off. This is why I cry about this. It's very, very overwhelming. Of course, if you split, the little tentacles won't be necessarily reaching you. And all the Plaguebringer has to do is just repeat this over and over and over and over. Levatus didn't yet go into Corpse Harvest, but I'm betting he will soon TM. And you know, this combo is actually really cheap. This is just 5 focus. This is 15 focus. That's very cheap. A 20 focus combo that guarantees the elimination of some infantry. Yeah, you'll take that at the 8-minute mark. There's very little opportunities for the Hierophant to be able to catch up there, and Levatus knows that he's gonna go for the second golem most likely. Although that golem is powerful, it's not that strong. The trolls also gather scrap as their separate resource. They don't have iron, so they have 2 unique resources unlike the other factions. That's a rarity. Okay, this is an opportunity now for DonHyperion to do something. There's a lot of weak smashers here. But I think what Levatus should do is just teleport out of here. There's no reason to stick around. Yeah, he's considering it. But he's keeping the hero here. You know why? Because if these guys expose themselves, he can take them down. It's a huge, huge part of this. Luring away the Adamantium Golem for the moment, so that DonHyperion has a more difficult time getting it. Neathup's Fury has been picked up by DonHyperion. That's his tier 3 crossbow with some shiny parts. And the important part of that is that, remember, he can shoot 2 projectiles, right? So that's going to be very useful with a more powerful weapon. But anyway, here's Levatus' hero, and he's ready to apply Plague. Oh my god, the Golem will actually finish the job for him. He doesn't even need to use his Plague Orb. Keep it for later for a better moment. Well, Smashers are back, and now they have Skull Crushers with them. They're coming from the hitting camp building. So you can see the Smashers are lining up here, and out come the Skull Crushers once they're equipped. So they have a really unique way of production with that. I love that about the Trolls, definitely. You can just form a Congo line between your buildings. The barracks, the fight huts will be just trained the Smashers. So with the main base, you just rally them to the hitting camp. Hitting camp is at the moment upgrading the Skull Crushers for better skull crushing, causing more damage then. Ooh, 4-way cleave here on the Adamantium Golem. My god. And there's multiple upgrade levels, right, to the troll units. So they can go to a hitting camp, then you can rally a hitting camp to another hitting camp, and then you can get your ultimate units that way. There's 3 stages for that. Plague Orb once again finishing off some units here. Axe-Wielders might actually make it there. Nice. Okay, we're going for it, ladies and gentlemen. We've got disease applied. No disease 2 right now. And I'm betting Levatus is regretting not picking up tiring attack, which would further weaken this Adamantium Golem. But some good pressure from DonHyperion. He's got the Earth Shapers as his tier 2 units as well. Now they are doing some magic damage with well, primitive orc magic. I mean, dwarf magic. But hey, taking down the hero is a pretty big deal with those sentries. He's got the numbers, and maybe, just maybe, Levatus should have engaged him a little bit harder. But hey, actually, he's the one losing units now, and DonHyperion has got this under control with the dwarves. That's really cool. He's got himself level 5. He's got the tier 2 armor on this hero. Should be able to take the Adamantium Golem on now with the Earth Shapers. Good dodge on that spin as well. And even if the trolls do come back, there's no teleporter because DonHyperion took that away too. So he will have to waddle all the way from over here, the hero. Won't be sharing any of this experience. DonHyperion is gonna out-level him just now. This is sick. I can't believe he did that, but it's working. Oh, did you see that massive barrage cast? My goodness, that was sick. He's level 7 now. Just gotta pick up the item and run because the trolls are outnumbering him too much. The teleport is a good choice, but several other dwarves will be falling here. Oof. The trolls also have this unique mechanic that they get empowered when they're super low HP, so it pays to stick around in the fight sometimes. Of course, you can get picked off. It's a risk-reward situation. Okay, item-wise, we got the Ring of the Sacred Rite. That's a 20% cooldown reduction to all the skills. That's what the golem dropped, and a lot of gold, of course. So now we can go and get another ring in the shop. Those are worse than what the creeps drop, by the way, but they're the same thing, just the worse version. So as long as you have gold, you can make up for that. But yeah, Levatus just didn't get anything. It's kind of sad. He's got 21 Skull Crushers, and they're gonna be just smashing through these buildings real quick. They're not particularly great against buildings, but I mean, they're big trolls with powerful attacks. It's good enough. That was a great fight by DonHyperion overall. Oh, he's got the deploy for the sentries. Levatus knows it. He knows now. He's gonna keep his hero at range. He doesn't want this business. DonHyperion actually has a shot here. He could make a comeback for the series, but the trolls are tier 2. And if the trolls are tier 2, that means they're tier 3 because they only have 2 tech tiers, guys. This is a very, very different kind of faction. We've got our capital now upgrading to a citadel for DonHyperion. That's tier 3. So he can unlock his berserkers, which are really the dwarf super infantry unit. We're unfortunately not going to see any of the balloons. They have combat balloons, which can shoot very powerful arrows. Alright, there's the deployment. Holy crap, he one-shot the hero. Oh my god. That was a great teleport right there. Well done, DonHyperion, but now the Skull Crushers are on top of him. Fortunately for him, the Stone Hall is causing a lot of pathing issues for Levatus, so he can't quite get the angles that he wants. And will eventually have to leave. Super nice snipe by DonHyperion, but he also lost a lot of population. Levatus is 161 pop to 92. Can DonHyperion hold? Let's see. But that was a great snipe. With the deployed sentries, no less. Okay, the tier 3 resources are being produced now. For the trolls, that's offerings. Shrine to Mugwa is the building that produces that. It's just a boy over there doing the work of an artisan. We've got the Sharp Eye of the Tribe, which has double the workers as a normal one. So you get 4 buildings basically filled up at first, and then you can do 8. It's a pretty big deal. Levatus could also make moon temples down the line once he has the resources for it. That will basically empower the base with all sorts of effects like faster food gathering. It's very good for your farming bases. Because the hunt is definitely running out by this point. They're gonna have to start thinking about it. We've got a bunch of wall breakers. Taking over this front sector is very, very important if you can get it done. But DonHyperion once again has a lot of population and sentries. It's enough to snipe the hero. And once he does that, it's very difficult to break through without a hero in the fight. We've also got the first magic units, the flesh eaters here. They're doing a really good job in ranged combat. So much DPS from these boys, and they leech some health too, so as long as they can keep fighting, they will get back some health. Alright, here we go. I think DonHyperion is getting interrupted. That's a regular move order. He has to be a little careful with that. We should be seeing the deployment, but he's plagued. He's getting blasted by the tentacles, and it hurt. It hurt a lot. Can Levatus actually chase him down though? His melee units are faster than the ranged ones at least, so he will be able to push into this. Oh my god, he separated a lot of units there. If he just does one attack, they will disappear. Holy cow. Okay, he's doing more than one attack. Can they get the hero snipe, however? He's right here in the middle. DonHyperion isn't targeting it. So all these deployed sentries were just shooting random things. He's down to 103 population. Levatus still going strong at nearly 200. He's got another set of tentacles coming out from Plague Orb. But a lot of the trolls have fallen in the battle. Can they actually push through here? The barrage is getting cast into the middle of them. Ooh, that hurt. But there's still so many of them. There's no sentries now to snipe the Plaguebringer. And I think he will be having a party picking off these remaining units. Level 8 is reach for the Hierophant, but can the fortified outpost actually hold? I don't think so. We've also got the first of the Berserkers out, but it's falling to the ground in tears. No time to Berserk here. And also, they're only doing strike damage now. They're not upgraded for magic yet, which will be great against these Skull Crushers, by the way. It's a 50% resistance difference. But you have to have Moon Silver for that, the tier 3 resource. And the Moon Silver base right now is getting bonked. It's getting bonked pretty damn hard. The hero falls over here. And although the Berserkers did a great job taking down some of the units, I'm afraid DonHyperion has to give up here. as Levatus is just a little bit too strong. He was definitely going to get this base and all the resources belonging to it. Very snowbally when you take over a base, and with that, the best of 5 goes to Levatus. He's just a little bit too strong right now for DonHyperion. Maybe another day, DonHyperion comes back stronger. You know, between these very top level players, it's really all about how rested are you, how prepared are you for the specific matchup you're currently playing, and are you actually getting the right movements in. Levatus did. Levatus wins. GG, well played.